Welcome to my weekly market meeting, 14th October 2020. I am Sagar Nandi. I used to work in IT. I have retired now. I am swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques. This is my traders forum, sagarnandi.com. My email ID tradingprofitably@gmail.com, YouTube channel Trading Profitably, and my Twitter handle Sagar Nandi. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on these channels. They are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. If you can hear me and see my screen, please let me know using the YouTube live channel chat panel. I'll continue. Disclaimer: I am not an investment advisor. This demonstration is for educational purposes only. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. This is a live meeting. I have not prepared for it. I will look at the market using the systems that I use for my trading, that is QLIT and QGlobal for technical analysis. QLIT runs on TradeStation. QGlobal runs on Metastock and Zenith data. For fundamental analysis, I use QVital. For sector industry rotation analysis, I use QEdge, and market level index analysis, I use QIndex. That was the last slide of my presentation. I will continue with the live system now. Let me review QSymbol. This is a tool that I released a few days ago to convert the USA market ticker symbols that you may put in column 1 into QSymbol. That is currently the definitive symbols. If you have a symbol list, let's say this FANG stocks, you may copy them from HGSI, from IBD, or from QLIT. Currently, I just copied these stocks Amazon to Microsoft from QLIT. Now I can come to QSymbol and click the paste button. Once I do that, it's going to sign me in into Refinitiv, and then it is retrieving the Q symbols for all the ticker symbols. That is how it is supposed to work. If you are having any issue with QSymbol, please let me know. It may be due to an update of icon that may be pending. I am guessing that because on my computer, all my computers, and for all the other traders, it is working except for one trader who reported that he is receiving an error message on the second column instead of the Q symbol, actual symbol. So I think that is due to a missing update on icon or Excel for icon. If you are having an issue with Q symbol, let me know. So far only one person has reported that issue. Now let me continue with the market analysis. We start with the Australian market, global markets. Australian market index AXJO. It was moving sideways and it is continuing to move sideways. It is at the upper end of the range, not a point where I like to buy the instrument. Japanese market, Topix index, continuing to move inside a range between resistance and support trend lines. I will avoid buying here also. China market, CSI index, CSI 300. Again, it is continuing to move inside a range. This is what we are observing for many weeks. And if we look at the UK market, that was also inside a range that is continuing. Daily is inside resistance and support trend lines. Only the Indian market Nifty 50 index was more bullish than the other global markets, and that is continuing. In the daily, it is above the upper boundary, not a place where I would like to buy. The optimal buying opportunity came at this point when price reversed from the white direction line with a bull release signal and bullish pressure and bullish U-turn. It is the only global market that is bullish. What about the USA market? That is also bullish. Let's start with the S&P 500 ETF SPY. In the previous videos, webinars, when price was at this point, I had mentioned that if price breaks out of the congestion area, then I would start to look for buying opportunities. And that happened. It went up and hit the upper boundary level. Yesterday, price pulled back little bit. However, there is a trend line support nearby. It will not be easy for price to break through the trend line immediately. Usually that is not what happens. Usually it will stop at the trend line, especially if similar trend lines are there in other market ETFs also. We'll look them up. Currently it is looking bullish, but of course it is near the upper boundary level and overbought, shown by the stretch indicator, band indicator for 3 days. So that is not the point where I like to buy. I bought some stocks when it broke out of the sideways range. That is the conclusion we can arrive at from the market ETF analysis. Of course, individual stocks may give buying opportunities every day. We look at some such opportunities that might have come yesterday also. Let's look at the other market ETFs first. QQQ, also bullish near the upper boundary. The relative performance is tilting up, showing tech stocks are now again the strongest. Dia, bullish, however, it has trendline resistance in weekly and daily. Therefore, if I had to choose a market ETF for buying, I would not choose Dia right now. I would rather choose QQQ, which is the strongest. Russell 2000 ETF, IWM, also bullish, also near the upper boundary level and overbought for many days. Market is bullish but overbought for short-term trading. What about the sector level? Let's study that from QEdge. If we look at the sector, industry and stock advance decline over 5-day period, running 5 days period, not weekly period but running 5 days, then that is very bullish. 91% of sectors, 89% of industries and 81% of stocks are bullish. Over 2 days, it became balanced. We can see that from the red and green pie charts. Yesterday, the 1-day period is showing more bearishness than bullishness. However, if you watched QEdge, this system, sector industry rotation analysis tool, during live market hours yesterday, you would see that in the beginning of the day, these 3 pie charts were much more bearish. They closed better than they opened. In the beginning, for much of the day, all the sectors were down, but at the close, three sectors were down and three sectors were up and 8 were down. So that was an improvement as is shown by the green portion of the three pie charts. During market hours, these three charts show real-time information. Now market is closed, that's why it's showing 1 day period information. Overall, we can see that it is weakening. However, yesterday at the close, it was better than it was at the open. The market ETFs are bullish, therefore we are not able to take any short trading decision based on the market level analysis, and the sector level analysis is also not bearish enough to start taking short trades. What about QFinder analysis? QFinder shows the balance between bears and bulls across all the Q symbols, across all the Q signals, not symbols, across all the Q signals. And for the weekly period, it is balanced between bulls and bears. If we consider all signals, strength signals are very bullish, trend continuation signals are balanced, and reversal signals are bearish. In the last webinar, I demonstrated that when you see large number of reversal signals, how you may look for reversal trade setups. We didn't find any suitable short reversal trade setup in the last webinar. We may try again today, or we may look for bullish trades. We may do both using QFinder. The weekly picture, if you look at the overall signals, is balanced. That was the not the same conclusion. Over 5 days, QH was more bullish, but remember this 5 days is running 5 days. So over running 5 days, QH is bullish and then it weaken. What I was trying to mention that when we are looking at QFinder weekly period, this is not running 5 days. It is the weekly candle, and this is as of Tuesday's market close, and that picture is balanced. Tuesday's market close means 2-day period, and that should somewhat match with the QH 2-day period charts, and that is matching. It is balanced. The 2-day period here in QH sector industry advance decline is corresponding to the weekly period as of today, because only 2 days have passed since the beginning of this week. Yesterday was more bearish. That is what we saw from QH, and if we look at yesterday's finder, that is also more bearish across all the categories, all signals, strength signals, continuation signals, and reversal signals. Are there many shorting opportunities? One easy way to find that is to go to the bearish tab in QFinder and open the worst performing stocks that gave at least one Q bearish signal yesterday. Let me open them using Q Global. So I'm going to close the existing charts, come back to QFinder. Let me open all the stocks that went down by more than 20%. Let's choose these stocks. I will go through them one by one. WWR, this shoot up like a rocket and dropped like a rock. Low price stock. didn't give any short setup on the way down because it dropped sharply. It has a bearish flow candle as of yesterday's close. However, price has dropped sharply from the peak. Therefore, there is no low risk shorting opportunity. What I am trying to find out is there any low risk shorting opportunity from the worst performing stocks yesterday? Let's find that out. Next stock, DXLG. It has a bearish flow yesterday. However, there is a trend line support nearby. Therefore, we are not considering shorting it now. Near support, we don't want to short. Close this. Next one, GOSS. It dropped sharply yesterday, broke below the trend line support. However, the candle body is hollow and it has lower and upper tails. The shape is indecisive. It had a huge drop, indecisive shape candle. We are not sure where it will go next, therefore we are not going to short it now. Close this. LQDA. Bearish flow, bearish shape candle yesterday, bearish pressure, extremely high volume, broke below multiple trend line support, 3 of them, however close to another trend line support. I would avoid shorting it at this point. In fact, instead of shorting, if price comes to the next trend line support and reverses from there, that may give a low risk buying opportunity, provided the industry and fundamentals are looking okay. You may keep an eye on that. Currently, I am looking for shorting opportunities and LQDA doesn't have any shorting opportunity right now. Close this. GPOR dropped sharply yesterday for last 2 days, in fact for last 3 days. On the first day, the traffic light color was still green, bullish. Next day, flow color turned bearish, and yesterday also it has bearish candle color. However, too close to the lower boundary, not going to short it now. Close this. Those were all the stocks that I selected. What I did, I looked at the QFinder homepage. I saw that yesterday was largely bearish across all the categories. So I went to the bearish tab and tried to find shorting opportunities from the worst performing stocks. I didn't find any. And that may be because I selected the stocks that went down by very large percentage, 20% or more. What if I sort yesterday's data by total number of signals yesterday, and you can see many stocks had much more than one Q bearish signals. Unusually weak, you may say, from this picture. Now some of them are down by large percentage, some of them are not. Let me choose, let's say, all the ones that are, let me select by this column, that is more logical. Let me select all the stocks that are having at least 5 Q bearish signals, and I am going to deselect the ones that went down by more than 20% because they may not give low risk shorting opportunity. So I control click to deselect GOSS and LQDA. I have the other stocks selected. What are these stocks? These stocks gave at least 5 bearish Q signals yesterday and dropped yesterday, but not more than 20%. Let me open them using Q charts. I am using Q Global for Meta stock. It's easy to open with a single click. Again, I am looking for low risk shorting opportunities. This is BHTG. It is inside trendline resistance and support, moving inside a range, so I'm not going to short it. Close this. QGEN. It dropped suddenly from the top, broke below the trendline support. It has a long lower tail, however the body is solid and it had a gap down open. Yesterday was therefore bearish. Let me keep the stock for now. I will analyze it using weekly daily at a glance later on. Moving on to the next stock, EPAY, dropped yesterday but stopped right at the trendline support. There is another trendline support nearby. Q technique doesn't allow us to short near support, so I'm going to close it. LYG gave a bearish flow yesterday, bear release signal. However, it is still in an uptrend. While swing, you may say, went straight up from lower boundary to upper boundary. We don't have any bearish Q trade setup right now. So I'm going to close it. ING yesterday had a bearish flow, bear release signal. However, it is inside a range between trendline resistance and support. Therefore, I am not going to short it now. Close this. RCL, Royal Caribbean. It gapped down yesterday, broke below a trend line support. Before that, it was in an uptrend, though it gave a bearish flow candle that came while it was in an uptrend with higher low and higher high. That's why, though the flow color is bearish, there is no go with flow short trade setup, because go with flow short trade setup is applicable only for a stock in a downtrend. It is not in a downtrend. It broke below trend line support, but there is no Q trade setup. Close this. We are left with that only stock, QGEN, QGEN. Let's look at it using weekly, daily at a glance template. Weekly, interestingly, has a bearish headwind, possible reversal signal. Daily broke below the watermark support. In fact, it was resistance, and when price went above it, the same watermark could work as support. Yesterday, price broke below that support and also broke below the trend line support. That is bearish. The relative performance is very bearish, relatively weak. Weekly backdrop color is bearish, has a bearish headwind signal. If price continues to go down from here, that may give a low risk shorting opportunity. I wouldn't short yesterday near the market close because it closed with a lower tail. But today, if it starts to go down, that may give a shorting opportunity using the fine-tune or precision entry intraday 5-minute chart. Before deciding that, we will look at its fundamentals and industry. Let's check that out. QGEN. I'm using that as a root stock in QVital. Belongs to life science, tools and services industry. Let's check out the industry strength first. The industry is strong. Because the industry is strong, we may not want to short a stock in the industry. In Q360 degrees technique, we like to buy or short when industry forces, fundamentals and technicals are all aligned. In this case, we were looking for a short setup. Why Why was I looking for short setup? Because Finder daily was bearish yesterday. I found only one possible stock to short so far. However, that is in an industry that is relatively strong. What about fundamentals? Well, the stock is fundamentally strong as well. Great valuation, excellent earnings growth, positive revenue growth, great earnings quality. In itself also the industry was strong yesterday. Therefore, though the technicals told us we may look for shorting opportunity today using fine-tune chart, when we looked at industry and fundamental, that is not allowing us to short. And if you apply this kind of holistic approach where you look at industry, fundamental, technical together before taking a trade, the chance of you stopping out is much lower, and the chance that it will hit the initial target before hitting the stop is much higher. And that is based on the trade ideas that I share regularly on the traders forum, that is sagarnandi.com. Let's look at some of the recent trade ideas that I shared, and I always share the ideas, probably 99 plus percentage of cases I shared them before knowing the result. One recent idea that I shared was in Microsoft. I shared it 5 days ago on 9th October, and at that time using QEdge I saw that the industry system software was strong and it was accelerating. That was the information from QEdge. Fundamentally, Microsoft was very strong both in terms of valuation and earnings as well as revenue growth. In itself, the industry was very strong as well. And on Q technical charts, I could suggest buying the stock right at the point it was starting to go up from both weekly and daily trendline support. The initial profit target would be the upper boundary for short-term trading. And if we look at Microsoft today, yesterday it has already hit the upper boundary. Therefore, the trade was closed. At least partial profit was booked yesterday. Again, this was a trade idea that I shared using the Q360 degrees trade analysis. Usually, I find the trades in one of three different ways. One is from QFinder using the approach that I used just now, trying to look for shorting candidates. I didn't find any good shorting idea. That was one approach. That is one approach I use. That is the bottom-up approach, starting with Q technical signals, either bearish or bullish signals. Look for technical trade setup and then confirm that fundamental and industry strength or weakness are aligned. That is bottom-up. The second approach is start with QEdge, look at the overall market picture from the home page, then drill down to the sector level. If the market is looking bullish, then look for buying candidates from the strongest sectors. If market is looking bearish, look for the shorting candidates from the weakest sectors. And further drill down to the industry page, again look for buying candidates from the strongest industries or shorting candidates from the weakest industries. That is top-down approach. And third approach I sometimes use is starting with fundamentals, neither with technical as in bottom-up approach, nor with sector rotation as in top-down approach, but start with fundamentals. In QVital, in the Universe tab, I have put all my usual stock universe. Usually I trade the liquid stocks. That is the category of stocks that I use. I don't create many more categories. However, you may do that. For example, you may create more categories for IBD 50, for HSI smart groups, for Chinese stocks, etc. But usually for me, I just use the liquid stocks. And let me explain the third approach. That is starting from fundamentals. I have my stock universe. I simply ask QVital to carry out the fundamental analysis and produce the scorecard for all these stocks, these 2412 stocks that I have in my stock universe or liquid stocks. It's retrieving data from Refinitiv and calculating the scorecard. Give it a few seconds. I want to demonstrate one thing. It has calculated score for all the stocks. Now I may go to the scorecard and then look for the strongest stocks yesterday. So these are the strongest stocks. How did I get it? I got it by sorting the data using the sort button. Some of these you may see that the fundamentals are not good. I don't want to buy these stocks because they are not great in terms of valuation, not great in terms of earnings growth also. I want to buy either based on value or based on growth. So this is not my buying candidate, though it went up significantly. I would like to use this filter that gives me strong stocks either in terms of valuation or earnings growth. So if I use that, then I have the stocks that are either undervalued or which are having excellent earning growth. Recently, I shared a trading idea using this approach, this third approach, starting with fundamentals, that was on CRDF. Let's look at that post. I shared it 1 month ago, 17th September. I found CRDF using the same approach I was showing you just now. I found it as a stock having great earnings growth, a short squeeze potential, and by the time I shared the post, it went up by 54%. You could do this analysis soon after the market open and probably buy CRDF well before it went up by 54% on that day. And how was the technical charts? On Q at a glance template, on the left hand side, in this case I am showing the monthly chart to show that at one point it was a $900 stock, and when I shared it, it was less than $9. It was at a rock bottom price for many days, and right on that day I found it from QVital fundamental analysis. Right on that day it was going up. I in fact bought the stock somewhere in the middle of the candle, around maybe $6-7 price range I could buy it. What happened to the stock after that? Let's check it out. As of today, CRTF, I shared the idea on this day. You could buy it around $6-7, and from there it went to $18. So it more than doubled in a few weeks, in 1 month actually. This is exactly 1 month ago. So you could easily book partial profit along the way. 100% profit has been reached by now. This is what I shared 1 month ago, and the stock did well. It was a low cost biotech. And if you looked at the stocks yesterday using the same approach, you would find two stocks. Many probably, but let's focus on these two, ONTX and CLVS. I'm clicking the scissors action button to focus on only those two stocks. Both of these don't have great valuation, but that is okay. Both of these are also biotech stocks. Smaller biotechs don't have great valuation usually. However, they are having both are having increasing and excellent earnings growth in the latest quarters. Both are having short squeeze potential, and though the market was down yesterday, they went up by significant percentage. ONTX went up by more than 24% and CLVS went up by more than 15%. If you look at above 52-week low, it is already above 52-week low by significant percentage, both of them. That is because they are very low price stocks. How are their technical charts? Let's look at them. Let's look at CLVS. CLVS. I'm using QLIT now, running on TradeStation. In the weekly chart, CLVS is inside trendline resistance and support. However, it seems that the support is holding pretty well. So far, this week's backdrop color is bullish and the shape is also bullish. In the daily chart, it made a higher high, pulled back, made a higher low, and then went up, giving a bullish flow candle. That gave a go with flow trend following long trade setup yesterday using the Q unambiguous checklist. Other than meeting all the checklist conditions for a go with flow trend following long setup, it also had extreme bullish pressure yesterday and very high volume. Those are not required conditions, however, those are additional reasons to buy the stock. Go with flow checklists were already made. And if you look at ONTX yesterday, here in the weekly, it is having support from the trend line. In the daily, it is having support from multiple trend lines, and recently it broke above one resistance trend line. Yesterday it broke above another resistance trend line. The next resistance is far away. This is a penny stock, of course, less than $1 stock. Yesterday it broke out with very high volume. Therefore, it is giving a possible breakout long setup yesterday. So CLVS, ONTX, these two stocks that I found from fundamental analysis, they are giving possible buying opportunities using Q360 degrees technique. And if I looked up these stocks from QFinder, I can do that by using this action button. This action button is available in the stock tab of QVital, QEdge, QIndex, all the Q tools. So if I look up the signals, here also we can see for ONTX, we had a breakout candidate yesterday with bullish flow in the daily chart, and for CLVS, it had a bullish flow. We saw it had a go with flow buy setup, and it also gave a bull release signal and a reversal candle. This third technique is also very useful in finding trading opportunities in real time. These are the three techniques I use. Again, one is looking for buy setups from QFinder or short setups from QFinder. By the way, if you click the alarm clock, it shows the stocks, only the stocks that are having some Q signal today. Bearish signals for bearish step, bullish signals for bearish step. That is the alarm clock signal. bullish tab also has that alarm clock action button. So that is the bottom-up approach. You can look for trade setups from QFinder, or you could look for trade setups using the top-down approach starting from QEdge, or sometimes I may find buy setup starting from fundamental analysis using QVital. Whatever approach you use, in the end, a Q trader will always end up with a stock where all the forces are aligned from industry level, fundamental level, and technical level. What if we carried out a top-down analysis yesterday? Let's do that. Let us go to the sectors. If we are looking for shorting opportunity, we could look for them in energy, but energy was down for a very long time. I'll avoid shorting that. Let's look at materials, because materials was relatively stronger in recent periods, and now the score has turned magenta. That may give more optimal shorting opportunities if we find them. Let's look for that. I'm drilling down into the materials industries. Let's look for the weakest industries under material sector. Let's choose this few, drill down into the underlying stocks. And now I'm going to use this single red star button that will give me shorting candidates, that is weak fundamental stocks, weak either in terms of valuation overvalued, or weak in terms of latest quarter's earnings growth, that should be negative. I click that button, and these are the possible stocks. Let me select the ones that went down by more than 2% yesterday, and you can see from the industry column they are in steel, construction materials, and aluminium. There is one diversified materials and mining, metals and mining. Let's open this using Q Global. I am looking for low risk shorting opportunities, and in my mind I am applying the Q checklists that are available, the unambiguous checklist for the standard Q trade setups. Here we don't have any trade setup right now, so I'm going to close it. No trade setup here also. Let me go through the stocks. If I find a short setup, I will stop. No setup here, no setup here, no short setup, no short setup, no short setup, no short setup. This is weak but too close to the lower boundary, so I'm going to close it. No short setup. When you try to look for short setups from different angles, first I tried from QFinder bottom-up approach, then I tried from QEdge top-down approach, and I didn't find a low risk Q short setup after going through probably 20-25 stocks. That is a way of Q technique telling that you may not want to short now. And instead, I showed you at least two stocks that are at a buy point. And that is a way of Q technique telling that you may continue to buy stocks, but you may buy only stocks that are fundamentally strong in industries that are doing well and also with good fundamentals. Let us end today's session here. Thank you for attending. I look forward to seeing you in our next session that will be during the weekend. I will announce using Twitter page. That will be the weekly market roundup, and that will also be on the YouTube live channel. Thanks again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great week. Keep safe and trade profitably. Thank you.